Well, I just picked up a new bike. I've had it since yesterday. I got it yesterday, got it home about 5, went about 2 hours away to pick up this bike, and I got there somewhere around 2:30. We met at a bank, signed everything, loaded it in the back of the truck, and then on the way home I GPSed to 2 different tag offices to get a tag for it, and the second one I went to, I was the second guy to walk in. Was in and out in 5 minutes. $230 for the tag, and got it done. So got the thing home, and I've ridden it. I rode it yesterday, and then I rode it today. This is a Versys X300, Kawasaki Versys X300. I'm just going to do a quick first impressions, I guess. I had looked at this bike quite a bit for a while before I bought my Honda Transalp, and this was one that I was seriously considering. I liked a lot of what I saw. Seemed to make sense, and ended up going with a Transalp. I found this one. This is a 2024 model, so last year's model. It had 4,040 miles on it when I bought it from the guy, and I paid $3,500. So secondhand, to me, that I'm really happy with this motorcycle for $3,500. It's practically new, except for this. He broke this somehow. I rode it. It rides perfectly fine. No leaks, no bent forks or anything like that. Rides like a dream, but something broke that. He was the second owner. He got it with 1,000 miles on it and rode it around. He was in the military, decided he wanted a Honda Goldwing, and sold this, I guess, with that in mind. So got this thing home. I've watched I don't know how many reviews on this thing, and the biggest sticking point that I heard with most reviews was how uncomfortable the seat is. Now, I can tell you, after riding the Honda Transalp, this is as comfortable, if not more comfortable, than the Honda Transalp was stock. So I've been riding it for several hours today. My butt's a little sore maybe, but no more than I would expect with riding as much as I rode today. I rode at least 4 hours today. Really like the bike. It's buzzy, sort of. I say that. I've heard everybody say it's buzzy, but it's still pretty dang smooth. I'm not sure if the guy that I got it from changed the sprocket, but at like 80 miles an hour, I'm right at 9,000 RPM. I'm up here at 80 miles an hour. So I'm probably, I ordered a 14 and a 15 tooth sprocket. It actually takes a 14 as stock. Apparently some people go to a 13 to gear it down for like the woods and things like that. And I don't know if that's what they were doing, but I'm going to at least go to a 15. So for a 300cc bike, I'm really impressed with this bike. I've got a Honda CRF 300L Rally that is also a 300cc bike. Well, ish. This is a 296. I don't know exactly what the 300 Rally is, but I can tell you that this bike, for me, is a much, much, much better fit. As a matter of fact, after I rode this one, I contacted a guy on Facebook that had a 2019 version of these for sale for $4,500, I think, and I asked him to trade my 300 Rally. I've got a 2021 300 Rally. He's got a 2019 Versys 300, but his has all the boxes, extra stuff. So if I trade for that bike, I'll get the bike itself with 6,000 miles on it. My 300 Riley's got like 8,500 miles, and the luggage, the one he's got has a center stand. It's got basically he's decked the machine out. And all the factory stuff that he got with his bike, before he put all that on it, he had the factory accessory top box that came with it. So if I swap him for that bike, then I'll actually get a top box for this bike, as well as that bike's on top box. So it'll actually help me get this one going. But honestly, the biggest reason I bought this bike was really my daughter is wanting to ride a little bit. I bought her a little 125cc smaller Honda Grom clone, and it did its job. She learned how to ride a motorcycle. She learned the clutch. She learned a lot of that kind of stuff, and it did its job. So I traded that to a buddy of mine today, because he's been wanting a small motorcycle to ride, and this was going to be her bike. Well, it was going to be my bike that I let her ride, but I like this thing so much that I'm going to get her another bike. And I'm getting rid of my 2019 or my 2021 Rally to trade into another one of these Versys 300s. Just after I got it, it already had the cigarette lighter thing, or the charging port. I stuck one of these on here. These are actually really good little foam mounts. Matter of fact, this particular one has been on every motorcycle I've had for the most part, and it went through hitting a deer at 75 miles an hour and held on to the foam. So did a pretty good job. So those are pretty good little mounts. I added this to the windshield. Now when I'm going down the road, it doesn't take much to flex this windshield, and I've got another windscreen coming, but for now this will at least keep just barely keeps the air over top of my helmet. This is the same tail bag that I've had forever. Started out on my little 250 dual sport, and it's kind of moved around to different motorcycles as needed. Usually when I get a new motorcycle, if it don't have a tail bag, this one just gets stuck on it until I can get a tail bag for it. I really like the build quality of this bike. One thing I do like, the axle nut has a cotter pin in it. I know that sounds stupid, but my son on his little Chinese 250 was riding it, and the axle nut came off. I ended up having to machine a new axle nut, get it put on for him, and I put a cotter pin in that one. None of my other bikes, my Suzuki, my 300L, my Transalp, none of them had a cotter pin on them. To me, this is a fantastic safety feature, and just that alone kind of makes me a Kawasaki fan. It just makes good sense. You've got cotter pins front and rear, and I was able to, I got it here, I'm at work, but I got it here. I took the cotter pin off. The chain was just a little bit loose. It's probably never been adjusted. So I adjusted the chain, and the tool bag that's in it, the tools that come with it, gave me enough tools to actually get that done. So that was kind of handy. Normally I do that at home, but I'm kind of stuck on some parts. And I wanted to get my mind off of it. It's Saturday. These are the original tires, and I've been pretty impressed with them. This bike is an absolute dream to ride. Other than the RPMs being something that I'm not used to, it hugs the road, it dips into corners. It is just the best way I could describe this bike. After having, let's see, I started out with a Hawk 250, went to a Honda Africa Twin 1000cc, great little bike, or big bike. Went from that to a Honda Transalp 750, went from that to a V-Strom 650, to another V-Strom 650. I've got 2 of them. And what else? I think that's it. A little 125 don't really count, but the Transalp was nimble for its size. This is half the size of the Transalp as far as CCs, but really I don't miss the CCs for the most part. For commuting, this is probably going to end up being my commuting bike. This will be the bike that I ride back and forth to work most likely. Local stuff, this is going to be my local bike. My V-Strom 650 I'm actually going to set up with all the luggage. It'll end up being my longer distance bike. I've got a really nice comfy Corbin seat for my 650 that I'm probably going to stick on it for longer hauls, but just hopping on a bike to go to work, this is going to probably be it. And I think, honestly, this is a sharp looking bike. I mean, it looks good. I like the looks of the bike. It's just a nice looking motorcycle. I really like it. I'm going to try to keep this one as minimal as possible. I'm going to get a bigger foot for the kickstand. To me, that thing's like that big. It'll sink in mud, so I'm going to get something a little bit bigger for that. I am going to get a center stand. The one downside to this motorcycle, to me, is its tube tires. I hate tube tires. I just don't like them. After having a few close calls with tubes, I just don't like them. But what I've been doing to kind of mitigate that is I'm going to a little bit heavier duty tubes, and I'm putting some of that green slime in the tube. The 2 times that I've had a tube failure, it's been, you know, on the outside of the tube, the inside of the tire, obviously. Like on this part of the tire, that slime would have at least kept it running long enough to get me somewhere. The one time was the Transalp. The front tube lost air, the front tire lost air in the middle of a curve at 35 miles an hour. I ended up riding the tire on the rim until I got stopped. That was scary. I have no idea how I didn't wreck. But I like all of this. I like the way this is set up, especially with it having the voltage readout. So when you turn the bike on, and I like weird things. I like a simple key. It's a simple, normal, regular key. It's not one of those stupid other kind of keys. See, I like the fact that I've got a, oh, that's really bright, a way to tell my voltage as well, just kind of built into the charging. I don't know, I don't think that's stock. I think that came on it. But I like the fact that they give you a place to put one and a place to put a switch over here. I like the simplicity of this. I've grown to really like the V-Strom style where you've got the tachometer and everything else is digital. So this is pretty reminiscent of that. It's got a nice clock on it, gear indicator. Overall, I really like it. The switch gear, I like where they put everything. My hands pretty much go where I want them to go. If I'm wanting to get the horn, it's kind of an automatic thing. Honda is bad about swapping these. So your horn's here and your signal's down here on most of the Hondas, my 300L and the Transalp. And then the Transalp, they made the horn button really little and kind of hard to find. They had so many other buttons here that I could never find the horn when I needed it. And that always kind of made me nervous. I like the fact that pretty much everybody else does it this way. Your horn's on the bottom. It's fast to get to. My V-Strom's right there. In all reality, and I hate to say this, Hondas are, my dad is a Honda fanatic. Loves Honda, wants everything Honda. And they are very reliable. And I'll give him that. They are reliable. They're good machines. But to me, Honda does not listen to its customers. And they put stupid stuff like the Transalp had that stupid traction control that you couldn't disable unless you did a bunch of other stupid bull crap. there was just a lot of things that Honda did not do well that I really didn't like about the Trans Am. Not saying that that wasn't a bad bike, but the things that they did that were stupid were just those nagging things. The 300L is kind of the same way, horribly undersprung. And again, your switch gear, and to me, I ride kind of a conglomeration of bikes at this point. I have 6. And I like the fact that all of my bikes are the same. So really, just because Honda did that, and I know that sounds stupid, and they've got a lot more electronics and things. This is a pretty simple bike. It's got the Ninja 300 motor or engine, pretty bulletproof engine. I mean, I like the simplicity of this. I like the simplicity of the V-Strom. It's just a motorcycle. There are no traction control. This one does have ABS, but you can pull the fuse if you don't want it. If you're going to go off-roading, you can just pop the fuse out. Granted, I'm probably not going to ever take it off-road, so I'm just leaving it the way it is. But overall, you know, you got big old mirrors. Not sure how I feel about them, other than, you know, as far as looks and all that. But as far as safety goes, you can see really well with these. They're far enough out that you can see really well. To me, on a motorcycle, I like the fact that I can see really well. They're ugly, but I don't care. The factory windscreen, I don't know why everybody puts a crappy windscreen on their bikes. I don't know why they couldn't have made this windscreen with holes that were offset to where you could offset it. My V-Strom is that way, where you've got multiple places that you can put the windscreen. This one is really chimsy and flimsy. I don't really like that. It should be thicker. And you know, if you just give us this much more adjustment, it would pop everything over. I mean, you know, touring, riding around outside, I would just much rather have something that gives me a little more coverage. And if we're worried about off-road, give me some holes that I can stagger it down, get it out of the way if I want to. That would have been a pretty simple thing for them to do, but to me, that's pretty nitpicky. I found another windscreen for like $55. The back end here where your pillion is going to be, I like these bars. I like the simplicity of the way they made this. You've already got a plate here that you can lash to. It's well made. There, let me just move that out of the way. You can attach whatever you need pretty quickly, pretty easily. So, you know, just being able to stick this bag on there really easily and quickly was pretty nice. So overall, again, I'm pretty happy with the bike. Everybody talked about how bad the seat was. I really don't see that it's terrible. This is not a Honda Goldwing. This isn't something that I'm going to be driving 10, 20 hours on. But for like a commuter bike, it's beautiful. It's great. I love the thing. Other than that, like I said, it's just a sharp looking motorcycle, and it looks good. One of the things I'm not going to do with this one is add all the extra crap. My V-Strom, I've got heated hand grips. I've got the hand guards and all that stuff. If I do anything with this one, honestly, I won't add any of that. It's just going to be what it is. I'm not going to add heated grips. The only thing I really want is a way to have a cell phone and charge it for navigation, things like that. And that's really it. Just one bag on the back. So if I get that other bike and it's got that hard case where it's a little bit better done, then that'll be great. But this bike is exactly the way I want it. I'm waiting to get the 2019, and that one's going to be the one I'll let my kids use because it's already got the crash bars and things like that on it. So I figure that's probably going to be a good idea with them in case they drop the bike or something. but the only thing I've really added, and I'm going to add, is the center stand, the little foot thing for that, and a better windscreen. And honestly, that's all I can think of, other than maybe changing the sprocket and gearing it up just a hair from where it is, whether this is stock or not. As it is, if this is stock, it's a great bike. It would be great off-road. It would be great on-road. It's kind of a good mix of everything. The suspension feels good. It's not fantastic, but I'm not jumping school buses or anything stupid like that. It is more than adequate. And the pavement and sort of off-roading gravel roads, a little bit rougher through, my yard and stuff like that, the suspension was more than adequate. It did exactly what I would have hoped for it to do. So what I'll probably end up doing is carrying a 19-inch tube for the front. Trick that I've heard people say is you can use the front tube for the rear in a pinch to get you home. So I'm going to carry one tube in the front for the front that can work in either tire. I'm going to carry some tire spoons, and found this out recently. I've got that 300L at home, and I was changing the tires, and I bought some Tusk tires for it, and they are extremely thick. I could not get the thing on. My dad worked on tires for years. He said to go get some Vaseline and slick it up with Vaseline, and so I did. I got some petroleum jelly, slicked it up, and popped it right on. So I'm actually going to keep a little thing of petroleum jelly in my bag with me, because that made all the difference in the world. And if I'm on the side of the road, I want it to be as easy as I can. So either way, great little motor, more than adequate power. I'm not a light guy. I probably weigh about 220. I'm 5'8". I can, I think I've got some shorter than normal legs, but I can almost flat foot this bike. I did drop the preload down to almost the lowest setting, and I can pretty much flat foot it. Just a fun little bike. Great little bike. The best description I could say is it's fun. After all the other bikes that I've had, Africa Twin, Transalp, the 650, this bike, honestly, in the last couple of days, sort of reminded me about how much I enjoy motorcycles. It is nimble, it's quick, it gets back and forth really easily. Am I going to pass somebody going 75 miles an hour? Probably not. You're going to have to plan passing people. You're going to have to be careful about certain things. But as far as just riding, getting you to and fro, your back roads, limited highway. I think it would do highway if you wanted to, but I don't know that I'd want to take this on a trip for 4.5, 5 hours on the highway. I am getting about 58 miles to the gallon, according to the little doodad, and that's pretty nice, especially with gas. I think it's like $4.20 something a gallon right now. But really, just a fantastic bike. I'm more than impressed with this motorcycle. Enough that I immediately found another one, and I'll end up with two. And if I can find a third, I'll probably end up with a third. So, very nice motorcycle. Biggest reason I have so many, I have my motorcycle. My V-Strom has kind of been my main one here lately. And I wanted a secondary, so I bought a second V-Strom 650. I wanted something that I would, if my V-Strom went down for some reason, I want a capable motorcycle. This, for the money, is a capable motorcycle. I can ride it back and forth to work. If I need to work on my other bike for a while, I can do that. And honestly, right now, I'm probably going to prefer riding this one. It's just a fun bike to ride. So if you're on the fence about a Versys 300X or Versys X300, take a look at them. I'm impressed with this bike. It is, for a 300cc bike, it feels better than any 300cc bike I've ever put on, set on. It seems to be so much more capable. It's kind of a jack of all trades. It's a go to pretty much any road, gravel, whatever. I'm not going to climb the side of a mountain with it, but I'm going to explore with this bike and feel perfectly confident that I can do it. So if anybody has any questions, give me a call or leave a comment. Bye.